This is Pratishta, your IELTS trainer, and I hope everyone is doing great. In the last video, we were looking at how to write properly, right? In this video, it's almost the same thing, but just instead of writing, you need to speak. So again, almost the same things. You need to present your own opinions, but this would be in a speaking form, right? So it would be a little different from how you write, but essentially almost the same thing, same criteria. As whatever is in your head, you need to speak on that and present your opinion and elaborate more on it. So today we will discuss the speaking part 3, which is an extension of your part 2 of speaking. So if you remember, part 2 of speaking is mostly about giving your opinion on a certain topic. Part 3 is going to ask you about the same things, like the invigilator is going to ask you and put up questions based on part 2, right? So with all that being said, let us just move forward. And let me share screen here. So here we are basically going to discuss the task 3, right? And the task 3 is going to be about some questions, right? You have to answer those questions. You will have to practice discussing abstract and opinion-based questions, right? So you have to give your opinion on those questions. Develop techniques for extended responses. So again, this is an extension of part 2. So you need to develop techniques for responses that are extended. And you need to improve fluency, coherence, and vocabulary during discussion, which is, I think, a common thing for all of the English tasks, right? So these are the different aspects that we will be discussing in this session. And let's hope for the best then. What is IELTS speaking task 3? So in speaking part 3, the examiner will ask you questions related to topic from part 2. If you remember, part 2 was your monologue, where you'll be given a topic and you have to speak about it for approximately 2 minutes. This would be if, for example, they're asking you opinion about, let's say, your neighbors. They can ask you anything related to neighbors. Do you think having a good neighbor is essential or not? Things like that, right? And you will need to give extended responses, provide reasons for why you're choosing that, right? So always and always provide reasons why. Always talk about why and always give examples, right? And always explain. Explain as much as you can. Speaking rather has a very simple structure because, of course, you cannot write it, you cannot plan it that much. I would say always just start with, like, give it a good start. No matter what you're doing, give it a good start. Just have a general line ready for that particular topic and state your opinion based on it. Give reasons, right? So you need to provide reasons for your opinion, that if you're saying this, why? Provide some good examples, right? So use some examples that would support your argument. So provide good examples. And then finally explain it, right? So again, a general statement, give your reasons, provide examples for that, and then just explain it and sort of have some sort of ending to it, right? That is how you will structure your responses. So, for example, you need to speak about why do you think some people prefer living in cities while others prefer living in the countryside. Now, if you remember, we have already discussed about it, right? But you have to make it more conversational. You have to make it look conversational and not in the written form. So start by giving your opinion on why people have different preferences. You can just say that some people, like to live in the cities, while there are other people who are more inclined towards the countryside. And I believe that there is both downside and the positive side to living in both. Um, Me personally, I believe that living in city is better because it has better access to services. For example, it has better access to educational institutes. Just near my house, just to give an example, I have this a huge university. It's one of the best universities in the town, and a lot of students come here and study on a regular basis. And it's so easy and accessible to me. I have seen people coming from small town and living here all alone. So I feel that if you are living here all alone, it better be for a good reason, and studying is one of it. um, Second thing, I believe that it has good healthcare and infrastructure. Cities have definitely better healthcare and infrastructure. So if you have any medical emergencies, um, having hospitals nearby is extremely important. Sometimes in small towns, that is not a benefit given to us, but otherwise, it is something that is very normal to have in a big city. We can also say that cities are also more diverse because people from all over the country come to a place which is more advanced, and they live there. They often share cultures. On the other hand, I feel that living in the countryside, you have people from a small and a close knit community, which is great if you want to, if you are someone who is looking for a close knit community, and if you are a person who thrive in that situation. But living in a city with diverse culture really broadens your perspective, makes you learn about other cultures, makes you more aware. Besides this, I would say that my final point is that living in large cities are is great if you have a good connectivity across different destinations. So cities can offer you things like metro or sky trains or subways, buses. There are a lot of options, endless options. But this is not possible for small cities. For example, we cannot really have metros in small cities, and it's really it is a time consuming process to go from one place to another from in the small cities. um, some people might also like this slower pace life in the rural areas, but there are others who like it, who like to live in the fast lane. I would say they would prefer living and doing a lot of things together versus choosing a life that is really slow. So I believe that overall, cities have more benefits when it comes to personal growth and development, while living in the countryside is could be more beneficial for people who are now retired or who have some sort of farming or this kind of business. But overall, for a person who is young and for youth, I think living in cities is always a better option. But again, it is also about personal and subjective preferences and decisions. And that is pretty much how I would look at living in cities versus living in countryside, right? Now, this is just an example to you of how I would have approached this without any preparation, without anything, right? But this is just giving general idea. So I like explained 2 or 3 points that I found. I also gave an example that, for example, small cities do not have metro system. Or I also gave an example that what if you have a severe health condition and you want to be rushed to the hospitals, you won't have that sort of access in the rural side, right? You will have more of that access in the cities. So, strategies would be using connectors again. You just need to add firstly, another reason is, secondly, finally, moreover, in addition, etc., etc., right? Avoid short answers because the invigilator will tell you by themselves if you are going too long. But if you have short answers, um, they will like give you less points for it because short answers will not really test your ability to speak, right? The longer the answers would be, the better they would be able to judge you on your fluency. So make sure that your answers are not short or not just 1 or 2 lines. Speak at least 5 to 10 lines. Paraphrase the question. So again, paraphrasing would really help the others, would really help the listener to understand that you are focused on that particular question and you're not swerving away from it. And use a range of vocab. always use a variety of vocabulary, right? This would show your language skills. So now this activity, do you think technology has improved the quality of education? Why or why not? You can actually just think about like one or two reasons because you are just speaking on it, and it has to be like about 1.5 minute because it's follow-up questions. So it does not have to be as long as a monologue, right? It has to be smaller, but then you need to give your opinion. You should prepare for the longest answers ever possible for you, right? So even if it's this topic, take it as a monologue with 2 to 3 minutes, because eventually what will happen is there you are going to forget under pressure, under different circumstances. I don't know, whatever can be the circumstances, it's always better to just prepare for the best and then see what happens, right? So technology has improved the quality of education. Yes, more research material is available, right? You have access to more websites and all of that. Then it gives it's more accessible from home, and then you can connect with others and discuss, for example, on forums, etc. So now, if I have to start it, it's just this, like not even 1 minute of planning. It's just like 30 seconds or 20 seconds of planning, right? So you can say that I think that technology has really improved the quality of education. There are many reasons for it. I also feel that technology might have a downside somewhere, because technology has always been looked in that sort of light as well, where people have pointed out more negatives than positives. But I really believe that technology stands on the other side of the equation. It really brings out the positive, and also depends on the person who's using it. They can either abuse it or they can use it. But in fact, if technology is used properly, it has a lot of benefits. For example, improving the quality of education. And I can say that being a student, because I am able to access more research material. Um, there is a lot of wide variety of things that are available online these days. Using technology, you can access to hundreds of different libraries across the world. So I would believe that that would provide us with a more hands-on approach to the research material that is required for our studies, or even advancing in career. Secondly, I would like to point out that it's more accessible. You can be at your home, you can be in any remote area, you can be traveling, you can be anywhere around the world and access any sort of library in the entire world. So it is definitely more accessible. You don't have to visit somewhere to be able to access the books there, or maybe their like academics resources there. You can do it right from your home. You can have membership all across the world right from your home. For example, me, I have access to the public library in my town, in my city, which is 20 kilometers away, actually, if you take a look at it. But I can use technology to access to most of the books there. And I think it's just incredible. Finally, I also feel that you can connect with others using technology and discuss based on the academics. For example, if I have to research about a topic and I need more opinions, I would most often go on forums like Reddit, and I would type in my question, and I would expect a certain type of responses from others. These days, LinkedIn is also leaning towards technology. It has LinkedIn Learning, and people are often interactive. I would say this would brings out more opinions of others for you, and I feel it's just great to have different sort of opinions from different nationalities, different countries, different backgrounds, which really offers a very wide and open perspective to your mind as well. So overall, I feel technology has incredible benefits if you take a look at it. It totally depends on how a person is using technology. And eventually, yes, I feel technology has it has improved the quality of education by many folds. And yeah, that is pretty much how you would talk about it, right? So it was more than 1.5 minutes, approximately 2 minutes, and I was able to cover a lot of points. It was a little longer than expected, but you will have to explain. I mean, whatever your point of view is, always explain. You will have to give reasons. Some common mistakes are giving short answers, so avoid short responses, right? Always expand. Do not repeat the same ideas over and over again because it will, of course, reduce your points. Do not repeat the same things. Do not speak too quickly, right? Take pauses wherever necessary. Take breaks wherever necessary. And your breaks should not be that long. A pause is just like 2 or 3 seconds, but then 2 or 3 seconds can really help you gather your thoughts, right? So maintain that kind of a pace, maintain that kind of pauses, take those pauses. Do not overuse simple vocab or do not overuse complicated vocab. You always have to find a middle ground, a middle path in it. Um, do not overdo any of these things, I would say. Again, if you want to practice with a partner. That is always the best strategy. Or you can always record yourself. I think recording, if you're alone, recording yourself is great because you can go back to it and you can give yourself an honest feedback, right? Which probably a third person might not be able to give you because they would always think that, I should not offend the other person. So, whenever you're recording yourself, always check for fluency, structure, and vocab. That is the most important thing. So, finally, what we did today was we learned strategies for responding to the IELTS task 3 type of questions. We discussed how to structure and expand responses, and we gave reasons and examples. We practiced extended answers, right? We are just extending our opinion on what we said in part 2, which was a monologue. We are just extending on whatever we said. Homework again could be taking probably these topics or maybe finding more topics and then speaking on them. That is pretty much all you need to do. And to be honest, speaking is pretty great if you are prepared for it, if you have planned it, and if you have certain things in your mind, if you already have opinions. It definitely helps to practice. And the more you practice, the better you become in speaking. So, again, I would say the more you practice, the more confidence it is going to give you, and you are more likely to be you're more likely to have success in speaking when you have your IELTS task as well. I would really suggest while practicing, even if you're recording, do try to speak in front of others because eventually in IELTS exam you have to speak in front of others. And with that being said, that's the end of the lesson, and I hope to see you the next time.